Hello, welcome to Map Business Online Heads Up video. We're going to talk a little bit today about Heads Up Digitizing, which basically is using your mouse to edit your map using lines and search tools, that kind of thing. That's Heads Up Digitizing. You're using your eyes on the screen and you're doing something to a map. And you can see I've built a territory structure here based on zip codes, which goes across states. And I had originally had multiple states lumped into one territory, like you've got the Carolinas down here, but I've gone through and edited this so that it's strictly zip codes by state. And you'll notice that there are some zip codes where they kind of overlap. And so you've got to make a determination, what do I do with this zip code on the border of Nevada and Utah? If I select that zip code, you can see in this case, it looks to me like it's mostly in Utah as opposed to Nevada. So I may want to adjust that. So I can do that right from this level if I feel I'm confident enough. I can remove it from Nevada, click that closed, go back to it, click that blue puzzle piece again and add it this time to Utah. So these are the kinds of final touches on territory maps that, might require some thought on your part. If I look at that particular territory, you can see it's a wash between Wyoming and Utah. So I've made a decision I'm going to leave it in Wyoming. I might make that decision based on territory allocations. I might make it based on other things. You can see in Idaho, that zip code is mostly in Idaho. I'm going to leave it there. So that part of this lesson is understanding that zip codes behave in certain ways and sometimes they overlap. Now you've got the ability to look at overlapping territories. So if by some chance you've created an overlap, we've allowed territories to intersect and overlap here, and I've chosen to show that overlap in red. Excuse me, in black, I think. Let's see. Intersection is in black. So it would show up as a black mark on my map somewhere if I had it here. So let's look in Texas. I can see there's some potential issues right along that Oklahoma border. Let's just see what those might be. And when we drill in, you can see that really the map, I think the zip codes are okay. We've got a river there. And rivers are tricky. And so you do want to be careful, especially if you're doing work along the Mississippi River, where you're including zips and filling up national parks and areas like that. That can be a little tricky as you get along the Mississippi, and I think that's what this is here. You want to pay close attention to these areas and make sure you've got them the way you want them to be. You can see in this case, in this map, I have my state layer turned on so that that beige sort of boundary shows me where I might have overlap. And you can see 38679, I might want to check that out. And that's mostly in Mississippi with a little bit into Arkansas. So I'm going to leave that alone. So let's click back out here on the American flag, which zooms us back out. And then let's click on our little zoom tool here up in the upper right hand corner. I'm selecting the zoom tool and let's focus in on the Carolinas for a minute and just edit those two states out of their overall territory into two separate territories. And so I think the first thing I would do is select my overall territory and change the name. I would edit my territory properties, changing it to North Carolina, and I don't think it matters whether it's north or south. It just gives you a point from which you'll start. So we don't need to do anything with North Carolina. We need to work on South Carolina. And what we could do, there's a couple of ways to do this. You can see I've got a couple of zip codes that have not been included. The actual color of the zip code layer you can see is indicated right there. It's that light green so that it's obvious in most cases. It wouldn't be so obvious up here where it's Virginia is already green, although I think there's a slight difference in color there. So there's two ways I could do this in my mind. I could go up here and create a polygon right along the border of South Carolina and then add all those subtract all those from North Carolina, add all those to a new territory called South Carolina. And then I could also, and this kind of comes in handy when you're doing tight work around like the Mississippi River. What I found can be helpful is if you zoom in and you know you've got some zip codes that need to be addressed, you can select them manually, hold down that shift key, and you can see where this might be helpful right along like the Mississippi River, where it's small, granular, but you can then add those or create a new territory right from those. So we'll call it South Carolina. Make sure we spelled it right. You can put notes down here if you want. So now we've created a territory over there. It's only got a couple of zip codes in it. And you can see that overlap exists. And that overlap can be addressed in multiple ways. We can address it with a larger polygon, or we can select that zip code, hold down the shift key, select the other zip code, click that little blue puzzle piece, and remove from North Carolina, just to give you a sense of one way you can address it. But let's do now what I would probably do is once I've got that territory started, I would then go in and doing heads up digitizing. This is sort of classic map applications here. You can see you can get as detailed as you want. So I'm kind of bringing it along. I look forward to those straight edges where I can just draw a line through these zips because every zip you touch is going to be included. And so then I can just haul it down right along parallel to this border out into the ocean where it doesn't matter what I do. I can do whatever I want in the ocean. I'm free and clear. So I'm going to just back out a little bit using my compass button here or my zoom tool. I'm going to just back out a little bit so I can see better. But you can see you go back down here and we're just going to, again, stay close to. Now, if you find yourself going off for some reason, you can actually do jags away and back, and it's all right. And if I missed a zip code for some reason, I can go back and grab either by going back on myself or after I'm done with my whole tool here, uh, creating this line, I can go back and just edit by pulling the polygon around, which I'll show you here in just a second. So we know we've got those. So zip codes are what we're going to choose, but I'm going to show you, like let's say I just made a mistake and I want to just kind of move things around a little bit. I can move these points and help myself. Or if I've gone over the line a little too much, I can bring it back. So all of these, you can actually create a point on the line, move it around. Gives you some heads up tools, heads up digitizing tools. Let's go back, click those binoculars. We're going to query the zip code layer. We're going to add to South Carolina. Where is it? There it is. So now we've got South Carolina done, and let's take a look at everything. So I no longer need that polygon, so I'm going to click out here, select it again, and get rid of it. So what is this black area? I thought it was supposed to be blue. Well, that black area is because all of those are now included in that original North Carolina territory. We haven't removed those yet. So I'll go back and I'm going to do this once more so you can watch me do it. It's really, once you get used to it, you are moving your mouse along these lines, lifting up your finger, clicking on the mouse again, dragging that line around. You get down here into this lower area. It's a little trickier. I don't know if that's a river there or what, but it's certainly boundaries that are trickier to line along. So we're almost there, and doesn't matter that we select those blue ones. Go either way. So we click next, and we're going to remove from North Carolina. You can see there's some overlap with Georgia that's going to come up. I think what that overlap with Georgia is right there. That would be my guess. But it doesn't show in black, so I don't think that is going to be overlap with Georgia. So I don't see any black. And that's what I would be looking for to show Georgia overlap. Now there may be something going on closer in. So it's always worth a check, just to see what you think. Let me undo that zoom tool and I drag back that little boundary right there. South Carolina. So I'm confirming when I select that area that it's South Carolina and it's a zip code. So I'd say those are safely in South Carolina. I don't see any black, so I'm going to assume that I'm done here. And you can see it is a river. So utilize the different layers that are there for you. You can see I've got my zip code layer turned on with a light blue sort of boundary so I can see it, but it's not too obnoxious on the map. I've got the state layer turned on. You can see it's just that beige boundary, which gives me a little sense of what side of the map of the state boundary I'm on. And then you can do your adjustments accordingly. Once you've got your map all square, let's bring it back. Take a look. Let's save that map, and I typically would go in and think about, other things that I might want to adjust on that map before I save it, but you can save it and save it again. Go to mapbusinessonline.com and take our free trial. Thank you very much.